First of all, I got to give Joe Burrow credit. I got to say this. Coming off an injury, Carson, is hard. It's hard to get back on that bike. And I'll tell you what, he's a gamer. There's something about him. And you've had injuries. That first game back, live bullets, is tough. I thought Joe Burrow, as you could kind of guess, was a total gamer yesterday.
He looked great. He was really smart with the ball. He didn't put himself or his team in any bad situations. And then at the end of the game, when he had to make the big throws and the big plays, he was able to make them. So, I mean, there's a lot been talked about this Bengals team and this offensive line. If the offensive line continues to protect Joe and he doesn't have to beat you with his feet and he can throw the ball and distribute it to all the playmakers he has, that's when this Bengals team is at their best.
You know, it's interesting. Cleveland lost, but I felt, Carson, there are traits that I think that wear well in the NFL. If you have a good O-line and you can run downhill and control clock and tempo, you can make a guy like Patrick Mahomes be a spectator for large chunks of the game. And I thought Cleveland lost, but my takeaway was that team's going to lead a lot of people, and they're not going to have to face Mahomes and Arrowhead. I thought the most impressive losing team yesterday, maybe by far, was Cleveland. Your takeaway on that performance in that game?
Well, and if you look at Cleveland's defensive line, I mean, they've got 2 number 1 picks at defensive end in Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett. So they are built to play with a little bit of a lead and make you have to throw it. And it didn't work. I mean, the thing that jumped out to me is Baker Mayfield is exactly what we've all been saying he is. He's a really good quarterback. Is he great? Is he good enough to put that team on his shoulders and go out and win game in, game out, week in, week out? I don't know yet. I think that's the biggest question this year is that they're in this position in Cleveland where they have to decide, are they going to extend Baker Mayfield's contract? They've given him everything he could want. He's got not only one great running back, he's got 2. He's got an offensive line. They've got some playmakers on the back end of the secondary, and they can rush the passer and play with a lead and force you to have to drop back and deal with those 2 defensive ends. But at the end of the day, it was just drastic. It was the difference between Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes is stark. I mean, you look at that team that Baker's got, that team is built to make a Super Bowl run. We'll see as the season progresses if Baker's good enough to win a Super Bowl.
Listen, I don't want to take too much from week 1, but there's a saying in sports that players, will win the offseason. They'll win in the offseason. Teams will win in the season. So, the sins of the summer, you'll be paid in the fall. Russell Wilson and Aaron both had issues with their organizations. And because they're both expensive, Carson, there's not much the Seahawks could do, and there's not much Green Bay could do, right? They had to, they re-signed Aaron Jones in Green Bay. They went and drafted a wide receiver. Seattle got Gabe Jackson. They got him a better tight end and offensive coordinator. But in the end, when you're paying your quarterback a lot of money, there's limitations on moving the deck chairs. But the difference to me was Russell appreciated it and quickly pivoted to working his butt off and getting ready for the opener. And I know everybody loves Aaron, but he's brooding about this thing. He talked about it up until last week. And I watched yesterday Green Bay, and I think to myself, that just didn't look right. That didn't look right at all. And there's a difference between a loss, Cleveland lost, and that. Something doesn't sit well when I watch Green Bay. They're too talented to be the worst offense in the league, even if it's a game. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are quarterback is hard. Playing quarterback is extremely difficult, even if you are Aaron Rodgers. But when you bring on all this criticism and all the doubt and you're asking for a trade and demanding certain things in the front office, that's just a lot for you to have to deal with throughout training camp, going into week 2 after an embarrassing loss. It's something that your teammates have to deal with and constantly get asked questions about. Is Aaron happy? What do you think the organization needs to do to get Aaron happy? And just all those things that your teammates are constantly burdened with in every press conference and every open locker room where the media is available. And Aaron looked uncomfortable. He looked uncomfortable from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. He never settled his feet. He never just dropped back and ripped the ball into a seam or a nice long completion. Everything looked challenging. Everything looked different. And I just think the offseason he's gone through, the training camp he's gone through, all the questions, all the stuff he's got going in his personal life, those things can burden you. Those things can weigh you down. And Aaron looked like he had cement boots on at times. Something was holding him back and holding him down. And, at the end of the day, he is Aaron Rodgers. He will shake this rust off. He will come back and play great. He'll probably end up going to the Pro Bowl and throw for 38 touchdowns and 5,000 plus yards. But he just looked uncomfortable. He looked burdened by a long offseason. And, that, like I said, I think that'll wear off, and week 2 will be a different story. But, all that talk that was going on in Seattle, that only lasted for maybe a month.
Yep.
And then Russ was happy, and Russ looked happy. Russ looked like he was having fun. And then it's the polar opposite for watching that Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers looked miserable and uncomfortable all day.
Really great stuff. Carson Palmer joining us, the former Pro Bowl quarterback. It's interesting. I could say that you and Matt Stafford have some similarities. You come out, your number 1 picks, huge arm talents. Even when you were losing early in your career, people said it's the organization. It's Cincinnati, it's Detroit. And then finally, you guys have to move, and it's like, oh, this is what a winning culture's like. Oh, they spend money. And I watched Matt Stafford yesterday, and I thought to myself, what a wonderful break in life. I can move anywhere I want mostly in my career. Quarterbacks, the better you are, you get drafted to the worst team. And that's where pro sports is totally unfair. And it's like, take me to your career when you finally got a lead, support, a run game. Because I watched Stafford last night, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a brand new life for Matt Stafford.
And it's immediate. It's not like the light bulb turned on for Matt Stafford in SoFi Stadium in, midway through the third quarter last night. Matt Stafford felt a difference in the organization from day one. So Matt's probably just been licking his chops to get to week 1 since he got there. It's a totally different environment. You got a coach that you completely trust. You got an organization that is willing to do what it takes to go out and get a Jalen Ramsey and re-sign an Aaron Donald and bring Deshaun Jackson in. And he's been feeling as good as he looked last night since he got to LA, since he started putting on number 9 of that uniform. I mean, this is not new. This didn't just happen overnight. We all saw it as fans last night. Matt Stafford was fist pumping and smiling and ecstatic.
Yep.
And slapping the helmets of teammates. We haven't seen him do that in Detroit because there hasn't been much to high five and butt slap about. Now he's with the right organization, the right coach. And there was so much talk, there's so much misdirection in this offense, and you got to be able to throw on the run. There's all these bootlegs. Matt looked as comfortable as any quarterback outside the pocket last night. I mean, I think he's going to thrive in this offense. The talent, the depth of talent, the offensive line play. And now he doesn't need to throw for 450 yards a night to win.
That's right.
He's got a defense that is best in the league year in, year out since Aaron Donald got there. So it's a perfect combination for Matt to thrive in that system.
We were talking about this in my lifetime. Generally, either quarterbacks are pocket guys or they move, and there's a deficiency. Tom's not going to run for first downs, or Phillip Rivers, and the quarterbacks. You're like, and Michael Vick would admit, he ran too much early, didn't develop his passing game. And then I watch Russell and Kyler Murray, and I watched Kyler Murray yesterday, and it's funny. They're both baseball guys, so they're both great sliders when they run. They never get hit. And I watched Kyler Murray, and I went back to the first 10 weeks of last year, and this is a rebuilding team, and his numbers were insane, and I watched them yesterday. And as a guy that was a pocket guy, when you watch Kyler Murray, or even a Russ, do you look at it and think, oh, I would have just, because you were an athlete, but how do you view the guy that can move as well and throw?
The thing that blows my mind about Kyler's game is that he can still see when he is in the pocket. He's extremely accurate inside the pocket, and he's got a lot more arm and a lot more touch than I think any of us thought coming into the league, because his sample size was so small with just 1 year at Oklahoma. And you can't see that touch ball he throws right there. You can't see how much touch a guy has until you've seen him play, not 1 year, not 2 years, but into year 3 and year 4. And you start realizing the consistency of the touch balls that they're throwing. Kyler's got a ton of touch. He can actually see somehow, some way. He's always been short, right? He can find a way to see lanes in the pocket. And then once he gets outside the pocket, it's game over. I mean, if you can't contain him, he's going to find a way to either beat you with his feet and score touchdowns like that, or he's going to find a way to get outside the pocket, extend a play, and find somebody get open late like he did a couple times yesterday. It was like Houdini or like watching the old Russell Wilson, where he would just continue to backpedal and move, make a defender miss, and then find a nice 8 or 10 yard completion. So his ability to make plays inside the pocket has really surprised me, and his touch ball gets better and better each week.
We're so lucky to have Carson Palmer, the former Pro Bowler. I know where he lives. I'm not saying it. I wish I was there, and he's probably going to go fly fishing multiple times this week, and I'm completely jealous of him. Envy is a bad trait, but I'm envious of you, and I love you coming on the show, bud.
Thanks for having me. Come join me.
I'd love to, by the way. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.